Day one, what's in it? Hi and welcome to another episode, and what we've got here is the PiHut Maker Advent Calendar, the 12 projects of Codemas. Basically, my missus was keeping a little secret and she has bought me both of these. I've already done the Let It Glow, click up there if you haven't already seen it. But this was last year's, as I say, and we're going to get on with doing it. So day one, and I realise Advent, the 12 days of Christmas, isn't actually... Well, yeah, this is an Advent calendar, there's 12 days of them, but then also the 12 days of Christmas actually starts on the first day of Christmas. So, but lucky me, very spoilt, my missus has bought both of them, so I do actually get all 24 days of Christmas. So, let's get number one out. We know what will be in here, don't we, from the Let It Glow, but for those that don't know or haven't seen other videos on this, dun, 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 we end up with one of these. It's one of these. It's a Pico H, a Raspberry Pi Pico H. It's not the HW or WH or whatever it is, the fact that or Pico W. It isn't the one with Wi-Fi, which is fine. We're just beginners, we're getting going. Though doing the Let It Glow, I've got a bit of a head start on what maybe it's doing, but let's get this open so we can start day one off again, because it's day two that's going to be the interesting one, isn't it? So we've got a breadboard, we've got a cable, and we've got this. So let's have a look at their website, or what is it we're supposed to do with this. Look at the right way around. There we go. That's the right way around. So day number one. Don't worry about this Thonny if you're new. Basically that Thonny program, that bit up there, that's how you actually program the Pico. But we'll get to that in a moment. So what does it say? Let's move the mouse around. Make it Advent Calendar, day number one. Getting started. Welcome to the first day of our 12 projects of Codemas Advent Calendar. Excited? We are too. This 12-day Advent Calendar will teach you how to code the MicroPython using the MicroPy Pico, using software along with a selection of fun, popular components along the way. We're going to use the code to make hardware interact with the real world. Each day will show you how to use the fun things you find in each box, explaining what they are, what they do, how to construct the circuit, and how to code them with MicroPython using simple methods. The best bit. Once you've completed the 12 projects of Codemas, you'll have a Raspberry Pi Pico along with a great stash of components with the knowledge and confidence in how to make your own projects with them. Day number one, getting started. You'll have to already notice that the first box is larger than most of the others. This will give you everything you need to build the foundations for fun projects you'll be making over the next 12 days. Box number one should have a Raspberry Pi Pico. Header's already pre-installed. It has. Yeah. Little legs. A micro USB cable, ta-da, and a 400 pin solderless breadboard, ta-da, that's that one. Right, today's project. Today we're going to get you set up familiar with the the Raspberry Pi Pico, including installing the software required, the program board, involving in a couple of very easy projects to get to grips with MicroPython. So basically this is just the same as it was with the Let It Glow. I'm going to assume that you can read all of this yourself now and just get it installed. The main bit that is of interest is the pins bit. Always have to open this and drag it across. Well, to show you anyway. There we go. And basically, if the Pico was sat like that, but it's not, it's going to be sat like that when we get going, but it shows you all the different pins and everything like that. Now granted, down the side here you can't see because of the stupid size down in the corner, but let's bring it over here and zoom in a little bit. There we go. So all these pins and everything down here will be fine. Well, we do learn about some of them are, if this is anything like the last one, that's what it'll be like. So setting up the software, you need to go download Thonny. It might be a newer version. Just get the newer version. Don't go looking for 4.0.1. Just get the latest version. And it recommends getting the 64-bit for Windows. So that's easy enough to do, and you just mess around and install it. Just read the instructions. I'm not going to go through it. But now we need to get the Pico installed. So the top right pin is pin number 1. It does actually say on the little diagram there. But that's with the USB port being to the right hand side. These breadboards, what we want is that the alphabet is going down the side, and then 1 is on the right hand side going left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what we want to do is stick pin 1 of the Pico in C1 of the breadboard. And everything else will fall into place. You need to be quite firm with it. But that's the only bit that you have to be quite firm. The other bits and pieces that will come across will probably be on the delicate side, so we have to be delicate with them. But now we've got that installed, we're now to locate the little button on top of the Pico button. This is the boot cell button, which when you held whilst connecting the cable, allowing you to install different firmware to the Pico. Hold down the button while plugging in the USB cable and connecting it to the USB port at the same time. You may see it pop up a new device in the computer. Just ignore that for now. In Thonny at the bottom right hand corner, it'll come up with stuff, and then we have to click install MicroPython. So I'm just going to grab my trusty USB cable after I plug this in first. The bit that I say a little bit different to them is I would leave this plugged in here, because you can more easily break this plugging and unplugging from here all the time, whereas your main USB port on your computer is built to be a bit more robust in the realms of doing it all the time. So I'm going to bring across my USB port because I'm at right angles to my computer. I've got a ridiculously long USB cable. Drag it across. Probably hear me rattling around getting it. There we go. Here we go. Extension USB port. It's only a USB 2, but it's more than enough. Or maybe not more than enough, but it's enough to control this. But of course, what I needed to do was hold that button down. This is where you could do with lots of hands. Hold that button down and plug it in. Let go of the button. Bouncing around a little bit. And we need to install MicroPython. That particular device. Right, we need Raspberry Pi, the variant. This is where it's saying it's a little, you see MicroPython family, it says that here. Doesn't on theirs, because things have changed a little bit. But variant, we need the Pico H. And there we go, there is other versions of the W and WH, but they're more advanced than what we've got. So we click that. We're going to be installing a version 1.21.0, at least at this point of the video. Theirs back a year ago was a little bit young, a little bit older than it is now. So click install. It's copying it. And it's done. So we can just click close. And that's it. It's been done. But now to make sure it's working, we click stop, which is restart the back end. And there we are. Our PC is now talking to the Pico. Oh, it's not a Pico H, is it? It's just a Pico. Okay, fair enough. Doesn't really matter. Always makes it sound like I'm on cartoon. But anyway, setting up Thonny, we need to make sure it's in the correct port. To do this, we click Run from the top menu and configure interpreter. This is already pretty much done for me already because of doing it. We can either select the port or we can try doing it automatically. It's always found it straight away when I just leave it, but it's up to you what you do with that. And click OK. So I'm pressing stop again, and it's found it. But yeah, it's pointing out if you have more than one thing in your COM ports, make a note of which one it is. But I've personally found it always just finds it. Maybe things are improved with the newer version of Thonny, but it finds it. But in my case, it's COM number 5. You can find the information down here if you want to, be sure later on, but it's been fine with me. And if you don't have this bit pop up for you, you need to go click View, and then you need to click Files. So if I don't have this whole section on the right hand side, sorry, left hand side, click Files, and it pops up there. So now we're in a position of where we can start doing some coding and get stuff happening. And this is relatively simple to get going here. But what we're going to do is cut and paste this. So we're going to just click Copy. Well, that's what I'm going to do at first, but I do recommend eventually you start typing in your programs because it acts like muscle memory. And I'll remind you every day. So there's the command. We haven't actually pressed enter yet, so we press enter, and then it prints. This is my Pico talking. And that's it, your first program. It's a command, but it's basically a program. Right. A few things to note. The print text strings always sit within inverted commas. I tend to call them quotes. It's the same difference, but I call them quotes. And the letter case is very important in MicroPython and the other code languages. Our print is always print in lowercase and never print with a capital P. Now try changing the text in between the inverted commas. You can write anything you want. This calendar is going to be awesome, or I don't like pineapple on pizza. Who does? Who likes pizza? Go on, have an argument in the comments. Just don't be nasty to each other. I don't like pineapple on pizza, or even the famous hello world. So we can do that if we so wish. So I'm going to do that because that is the basic program that everyone does when they get programming, is hello world. It's difficult for me because my keyboard is behind me basically. Let's move to the end, press return. There we go, hello world. So that's how a print command works. Now we've got the light on the LED, light the onboard LED, which is just there. It's tiny, 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 tiny. So I'm going to zoom in now so we can find it. I know it's not the fastest of zooms, but at least it zooms. So this arrow is not the best of arrows because it looks like it's highlighting that section. It's actually this. That's the LED there. That's quite a nasty arrow. Right. Anyway, the LED is actually part of the GPIO 25. It's attached to one of the Pico's RP2040 pins, GPIO 25. This pin isn't one of the physical pins available around the edge of the board. We can tell our program to turn this pin on or off whenever we like, which is a nice, easy first hardware project and can be handy as an indicator for your own projects later on. This is the beginning of getting your code to control physical things. Anyway, I'll carry on talking about what GPIO pins are, inputs, outputs. We can control LEDs and buzzers and send different voltage signals and all that sort of stuff. Inputs, this is a quick glance at the first line example code below. When we write the code in Thonny, a lot of the time we need to add inputs at the start. Inputs bring in code from other places called modules or classes. But let's not get bogged down with that for now, that we can need to make our own program to work. Usually these are from built-in modules. So basically what they are is bits of code that do fancy things that someone else has written that we can bring in to control our Pico by sending information backwards and forwards to that other program, as it were. But because it's different else, it's classed as a module. It's a bit like with Lego bricks. If you want to have a window, you can either mess around with bits of plastic and build your own window, or you could use one of Lego's pre-made windows. Which one's easier in the long run? It's that sort of way of thinking about it. Right, anyway, let's get on with doing this. So what we want to do is turn that LED on. And what we're going to do is use some code where we import the stuff about the pin from the machine module on the first line, which simply allows us to use the GPIO pins. So that's a must. We need that if we're going to do anything with this Pico that affects the outside world, as it were, because all it's thinking is on that little black chip there. That's the CPU. So the second line is setting up the pins to allow us to use that code. This sets up a GPIO25 with the name onboard LED. That's just so that it's easy for us to read. And we use pin.out at the end of there to tell the MicroPython to set this pin as an output. The third line then finally sets the pin value to 1, which is high or on. You know, binary zeros and ones, zeros being off, 1 being on. 1 is always used for the high on and 0 for the low or off. Now let's cut and paste this code. I'm going to cut and paste most of the time because it just speeds up the video a little bit. There may well be some days we could be pushing an hour, if not longer. Depends on what's happening. But there's all our code, and if we run that now, LED came on. And as it says later on in this little paragraph down here and everything, if we change this 0, sorry, change this 1 to 0, and we press run again, turn that LED off. So hurrah, as it says in the information, that we have now affected the outside world with some code. Right, and that's day 1 complete. Day 1 is quite a simple one to get going. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see my hands waffling around. Oh, there we are. Yep, so day 1's quite easy. Get your teeth into it sort of thing. Day 2, I'm assuming, is going to be more exciting. Just from previous experience with the latest version of this box, Let It Glow, it was quite very basic at the beginning, but everyone has to start somewhere. So even if you know a little bit of coding like I do, or you know nothing about coding, by the end of it, it actually gets quite complicated. No, you're not going to be able to run a power station, but you could probably create a nice little display of LEDs and things like that. That's what the Let It Glow one is. I have no idea what's inside this box because I'm keeping it a surprise myself. I've not looked at previous years' people's videos and stuff to ruin it for myself. And I don't look at the list to find out what's in every day. So every time I start the video, it's going to be a fresh surprise for me as well. But in the meantime, please have a look at the last lot of videos. See if you like the look of that one. Don't forget to have a look at the description for the links to my Patreon and Discord. Don't forget to hit that like, the subscribe and notification bell to find out what's happening tomorrow. And as always, happy gaming.